Hello, friends. We're in the backyard today. I'm about to grill here in a minute. Just picked up a half a cow. Now it's in the deep freeze. Very cool, very exciting. I love to, if you have the opportunity and you like to eat beef and you have the opportunity to buy a cow, that's something I've found super beneficial. 400 pounds of the hanging weight, the right term to use? I don't know. 400 pounds of beef, basically, is what we got. Bunch of steaks, bunch of ground beef, all different roasts. Gonna grill it here in a minute. It's really great when it's fresh. If you leave it in the deep freeze too long, it loses some of its freshness. Still, awesome to have, just not as fresh. Don't know if you care. I'll share. That's a little bit of advice there. So talk about a little bit about being a dad during this process, because lots of people have questions about, in your training and stuff, how do you manage the dad aspect of all this? And thankfully, I'm in a position where I have a lot more free time. I don't want to call it free time. A lot more time to train than other people that don't interfere with dad duties. So I'm able to obviously be very present for my family. And luckily, basketball at this point has not gotten in the way at all of any sort of it. So I'm able to be there in the morning, be there the day, in the evening, whatever it might be. But there are still dad duties that affect my basketball. Basketball doesn't affect dad duties, but dad duties can affect basketball. And one of those things is sleep. So the little one is getting teeth. And, oh boy, sleep disruption happens. So what happens, if those of you aren't familiar, they might wake up in the middle of the night, waking up routinely for about an hour between 1 to 2 p.m. This past week has been an interesting affair from the basketball standpoint. And I want to share with you some aspects that come up and some aspects of things that come up that maybe you might be able to get around to an extent. So off the bat, one of the things I've noticed is when I don't sleep as much as I'd like to, coordination earlier in the day goes down. I'll notice that my shooting will be really inconsistent sometimes, and there is studies on this. There's research on this. You can go check it out. Stanford researcher's done a bunch on this. I forgot her name. I apologize in advance. Coordination goes down. I fatigue a little bit quicker. It's really difficult to warm up sometimes, like to actually get excited and ready to go. It's easy to overeat and undereat. And it's easy for the willpower to do something go down. Some ways to get around this now. Now, the general motor skill stuff is tough because that's just like you're sleepy and tired. Excessive amounts of caffeine might not be the answer. I've had a lot of caffeine in my life. Sometimes it doesn't make any difference how much more I eat. But doing fun things can be important. And I talk about this in a more detailed podcast with Brendan. I'll release that here later. But if you're having trouble engaging with the activity you have planned today, and it might be because of whatever multitude of reasons, like you're just kind of groggy, you have low central nervous system activation, your body's just not ready to go. Finding ways to make the training fun will help you get engaged to the point where you can actually compete a little more. So certain things like maybe getting swapping a drill out. Maybe the most optimal drill was kind of boring. You just cannot be engaged for today for whatever reason. So swap something out that might be more engaging so you can get more out of that drill. Because if you just did the least engaging one, you just go at 80%. Versus the more engaging one, you can go 100%. For example, we were working on range shooting, so shooting from deep. And we played a game called Battle Ball, Will and I did. And basically you play hoop to hoop on the side courts and you shoot from really far away and you keep track of the score and see who wins. Is it the best drill for developing range? I actually think it's a pretty good one, to be honest with you. But a lot of it are simpler shots, sport, not super specific kind of dribble and easier shots, but it's fun. We did this on a Friday, end of the week. We both were very kind of fatigued and tired. But it allowed us to have a more engaging process of getting more shots up. If you just go out there and say, I'm going to shoot from distance, and you go out there and you brick a bunch of shots, and you're like, dude, I don't want to do this anymore. If you're playing a game, you're at least competing and you're trying your hardest. Now, is it the perfect shots that are most related to your, skill of shooting deep in a game? No, probably not. But they at least excite you, so you try hard. And trying hard at a lesser drill might be more beneficial than not trying as hard in a more specific drill. Switch hands real quick. I'm holding this as I'm sit outside. So there are little things and little hacks you can make as an athlete to get more out of your training if you're aware of where the obstacles come from. And I'll talk about some more stuff in these other short videos. If you guys like these short videos, let me know. I'm going to try to keep them to one topic because I do want to talk a little bit about my ankle injury, but I'll save that for another video. And basically about, I don't want to call it disheartening or depression or whatever you wanted to call it, but I understand why athletes get so frustrated when they get hurt. But I'll talk about that here next time, because part of that, and the reason why I mentioned that, is that if you know where you have an obstacle come from, like my lack of sleep, and then me trying to do something fun and engaging to actually engage in the training itself more so than I would otherwise because I'm groggy, tired, and sleep deprived, with my ankle, there's certain expectations you might have if you have an obstacle, the ankle injury, and then you get sore the next day because you did certain things you expect to get sore, but then you can make modifications around that training. Conceptually, it's the same thing. It's like managing the whole training process. But I don't want to dive into that. I don't want to go too long-winded in this here. So to wrap it all together, yes, we have obstacles that come up. Yes, I'm tired all the time. Not all the time. I actually slept pretty well last night, but tired quite a bit here and there. But you got to find ways to get around that. And monotony sometimes, doing the same thing over and over again, is boring, not exciting. And sometimes things become more monotonous the more tired you are. And so instead of doing tiring things, make things fun. Swap something out to a lesser degree that might be more engaging so you can get more out of it in the long term. Keep it there. I'm going to go grill some steaks. Have a good one, y'all.